Jennifer Eileen, and I am so delighted to welcome you to my cafe, my Pet Info Cafe. Pour yourself a warm cup of your favorite and let's chat about our love of animals. I would love you to meet the volunteer team who are dedicated to help homeless pets find their way to loving homes through rescue and adoption. This episode of Pet Info Cafe is sponsored by Lost Dog Cafe, a Northern Virginia destination known for its food and beer selection with 5 locations in the DC metro. All Lost Dog Cafe locations are owned and operated by former employees and members of the Lost Dog Cafe family who are committed to food, beer, customer service, and a deep-rooted love for animals that embody the Lost Dog Cafe way. Please welcome the Lost Dog and Cafe Rescue Foundation volunteers, Michelle Whitaker, Kristen McCauley, and our very important guest, Butter. So hello and welcome Butter, and he is looking just so cozy sitting with you. Michelle, tell us about your role as the dog program manager, what you do, and what that's all about.
I'm the dog program manager of Lost Dog and Cat Rescue Foundation. I am volunteer. Lost Dog Rescue provides such a wonderful opportunity for people like myself that actually have full-time jobs, home life, and we can dedicate our volunteer time and actually be in a manager role. I am in charge of the foster program, the medical program, our dog venture program, and our intake program at the Lost Dog Rescue and Cat Foundation. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I can do my work remotely. I can come into the Rescue Care Center and do my work. I've been with the rescue since 2008, and it's an amazing experience every time I do something.
So you started in 2008, and how did that start?
Believe it or not, I went to PetSmart to buy some food for my daughter's gerbil, and they were having an adoption event, and my daughter fell in love with a black lab. So we ended up adopting the black lab that night, and the volunteers there told me about their website. So I went onto their website and I saw some volunteer opportunities, and I was like, I might like to foster. So I started out as a foster mom. I fostered my first litter of puppies within probably a few weeks after talking to Lost Dog, the volunteers there. Yeah.
And then things just grew from there.
Things just kind of grew from there. When I started out, we only had the events. We had the ranch. We got the pop-up kennel, I believe in 2017, and started going out there and volunteering. And like I said, it's my love for dogs and cats that kind of just, grew my volunteer role.
And you have dogs at home now?
I do. All of my dogs are from Lost Dog Rescue. A lot of them were my fosters. We call those foster wins. And I do have a cat at home that thinks he's a dog that's also from Lost Dog.
All right, we might have to ask you about the cat that thinks he's a dog. Well, Krista, thank you so much for coming and bringing Butters. And please tell us about Butters. And you have such a compelling story about him.
Yeah, so this is Butters. He is a 13-month-old American Bully Pit Bull mix puppy. He was brought to Lost Dog in August when he was about 4 months old. We brought him in from one of our partner rescue centers in Louisiana. Butters, when he was about 8 weeks old, was rescued from an animal cruelty case. He came in to them with a severely necrotic leg. He was underweight. He was actually the only one of all of the dogs rescued that day that wasn't euthanized eventually. He had his leg amputated, and the first surgery he had some complications with. They did a second surgery on him. And when he was ready to complete his recuperation, Lost Dog took him in. And there's a volunteer in charge of fostering there, and she knows my type. She called and said, we have this tripod puppy who's about 4 months old, and he needs a foster. And I was like, oh, no, a tripod. I don't know what to do with that. I have several other large dogs at home and, some concerns about how he was going to fit in, and I'm always up for a challenge. And this guy, when I went that day to pick him up, he crawled into my lap, and I was like, oh, This is it. I'm in love.
And so is he.
Yes. You can see he's the sweetest guy. He's got the best disposition. I think he's a really true testament to what fostering can do for animals who need a place to get love, to recuperate, to be socialized with other dogs, just a place to have really good positive experiences. And he's stuck. He's stuck. We love him. He's got 4 canine siblings at home, along with 5 cat siblings at home. So it's a busy household, but he's just a miraculous little guy.
Well, he certainly is, and we've enjoyed meeting him here so much. Thank you so much for bringing him. Now, when you said your type, so is that the large dog type?
I love big dogs.
Okay.
I like big dogs, and I cannot lie. So Butters is actually foster number 11 for me in the past 2 years.
Okay.
And of those 11 fosters, I have kept 4 of them. And Butters is actually the smallest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just been such a really amazing journey that Lost Dog has provided for me as a foster and adoption counselor, and also for me to be able to provide to the dogs.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Butters, for coming with us on this journey. And tell us what advice you have for people that want to adopt dogs as an adoption counselor.
You know, I think for me, something that Pam would say that has always stuck with me is that she wanted to make the experience easier. And when I started with Lost Dog, it was out of my searching for a rescue that wasn't going to overcomplicate the process. And I think I probably put off volunteering, even though I knew it was something that I really wanted to do. I put it off until I found the right fit. And Lost Dog provided that. They made it a seamless process to foster. They made it a seamless process to adopt. And I think any advice that I would have would be, if you think that you want to do it, like, go for it. It fills the cup. And I think that yeah, it's just a very fulfilling, thing that we can do, and I would say dive right in.
I'm not sure. Do you agree, honey?
He sees a foot back there.
You see
Butters.
a foot? That's a foot, honey. It's all right, sweetie. Does he need another treat?
He might.
Okay. All right. Maybe you need another treat. Yes, a treat solves everything. Thank you.
You're a good boy.
Well, thank you for that. Michelle, tell us more about your advice for someone who wants to foster or adopt.
My advice would be, we have an amazing group of volunteers that are on our foster team, and they will have you fill out an application. That way they can see what your home life is like, what kind of dog would be the best fit for you. You can foster for as little as a week. You can foster until they're adopted. I would say, like Krista says, go for it. I mean, it's an amazing experience. It's how I got started. And the feeling when you bring that dog home and the first time they actually have that good night's sleep, I mean, you really know that you're helping a dog in need. And then also when you find their forever home, when you bring them to an adoption event and they meet their new family, the joy that family has bringing that dog home, and you know that you were a part of that. That dog may not have had a chance if you did not open up your home and foster that dog. So we're always looking for fosters, for puppies, for older dogs, for litters, for nursing moms, for pregnant dogs, for cats. So there's always an opportunity.
Well, thank you for that. And Butters, what do you think of your new family? You have brothers and sisters, I think. What do you think of all that?
He loves it. He says he 10 of 10 recommends.
10 of 10. And was there anything special that someone needs to do in terms of integrating a new dog into a home with other dogs?
Take it slow. I always like to tell people, you may not always like people right away when you first meet them if they come into your home unannounced, and to be patient with your dogs as well, that it takes them some time to
Yeah.
acclimate to one another. Especially if you have dogs that, maybe don't want to share their attention and their toys, but with perseverance and with patience, it's possible. And, to see them at the end of the day snuggled up together is all the reward in the world.
Yeah, or to see him snuggled up with you. And certainly it's a testament that he can even come into a TV studio and, see all the cameras and all of this going on and just cuddle and snuggle up with you. That's really a beautiful thing.
He's an awesome little guy.
Yes, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Thank you so much for that. And any other memorable pets that you remember adopting and fostering?
Oh gosh, there have been so many. I think the one that stands out the most is I fostered a pregnant hound dog.
Oh my!
Yeah, she gave birth to 11 puppies, and her name was Lady Love. And she was quite an experience. She gave birth to most of them while she was walking around the house. I could not calm her down. I would come home from work every day and I would play find the puppy because she would be hiding her puppies around the house. To her, it was just a big old game. So it was 8 weeks of fun with Lady Love, and we got all of her puppies adopted, and Lady Love also found her home. So and it's funny, the easy ones, you love them, you care for them, you find them at home. The ones that are a little bit more challenging, you never forget them.
Butterball.
Butterball. How did he get the name Butters?
So his official name is Mr. Kevin Wiggle Butters.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And Butters just kind of stuck for short. But when he came home, he doesn't stop wagging his tail.
Oh.
He's just the happiest little dude, and he just goes nonstop with his tail. And so Wiggle Butters came in, and then we just had to shorten that to Butters. And he clearly loves his treats.
Very much so. So glad we have treats. We love that. Well, I thank you for all of any kind of final words of advice for big dogs, little dogs, people that want to adopt dogs.
It's rewarding, and having an opportunity as a foster to bridge that gap between homeless and home is just a priceless experience. So I think that everybody should try it if they're at all interested or thinking about it. And Lost Dogs certainly makes it a really wonderful experience.
Yes, they do. And I thank you for your part of that. Well, thank you so much for your time and Butters. Thank you so much, Mr. Wiggle Butters. I had never really, I was thinking butter like what you put on your toast, not the other kind. Thank you for that. It's lovely. And thank you. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we'll hear from a volunteer about fostering and adopting dogs. Please welcome Carrie Jasker, Dog Adoption Follow-Up Manager, Jeffrey Horn, and the Lost Dog Rescue, Savvy, Artemis, and Iris. So, hello there.
Good afternoon.
So nice to meet you. Now, who's with you right now?
So Savvy is in Jeffrey's lap and Iris is behind him, and Artemis is walking around aimlessly.
Of course. Well, maybe Artemis will want to photobomb us. We'll see. But please tell us about your experience with Lost Dog and Cat Rescue with your dog and cat adoption.
Well, I started my journey volunteering as a dog handler at adoption events. That slowly grew into an adoption counselor. So I would actually conduct the interviews and work with the animals and the potential adopters to see who was a good match. And then I guess about 3 or 4 years ago, I was part of the dog follow-up team. I actually took over that team about 3 or 4 years ago. So I've been working with Lost Dog for, I'm gonna say about 15 or 16 years now.
Very exciting, very good. So I see you have a couple of dogs with you.
I see Iris napping on the back of the sofa there. How is she settling into the South Florida life?
She loves it. Her favorite pastimes are chasing the iguanas in our backyard and playing with her coconut.
Sounds like an amazing life. Thank you so much for adopting her.
Uh, if it wasn't through the love and caring of Lost Dog volunteers, she probably would not be sitting on the back of our couch right now.
Very true, very true.
Well, the other aspect of what you do, Carrie, if you could tell us about it, is in terms of managing the adoption and the follow-up. Can you tell us about that and any memorable moments you have?
Sure. I have a team of highly dedicated individuals that have a extreme love for animals, especially rescues. So essentially what we do is about 2 weeks after the dog is adopted, a member of my team will follow up, check in with the adopter, make sure everything's going all right, answer any questions they might have, provide them some reminders about making their vet visits, ensuring that if their dog was not already spayed or neutered, that that gets taken care of, and kind of bridging that gap of that secondary communication, if you will, from the adoption process all the way through. I still have individuals that follow up with me periodically that I've reached out to 2, 3, 4 years ago that share updates with their dogs that they adopted, if they've reached a milestone, or unfortunately when they do pass away, if we can, create some sort of memorial story. So my team's really involved from the adoption all the way through until the adopter no longer wants to chat with us.
Any memorable times and follow-ups? And you mentioned that sometimes a dog passes, and that's certainly a tender role for you to play.
It is. I hate to say that I've recently had that experience myself. Our very first lost dog rescue passed away last year. Iris is actually our fourth rescue from Lost Dog. Probably one of the most memorable ones is an adopter adopted a puppy out of a litter, similar to Iris. She utilized our Facebook alumni group to reach out to the other adopters. They set up a meeting at a local dog park and took a bunch of pictures of all of the siblings playing together, reuniting. This is probably after about 6 or so months of being adopted, and shared all those pictures with me. And I believe they're somewhere on our Facebook page as well as the alumni page.
Well, Facebook certainly is a place where memories can live on, so I'm sure it was a very special memory for you. Because you do so much follow-up, you probably have a very unique perspective on, and so what would you advise someone who wants to adopt a dog or foster?
Well, from an adoption standpoint, definitely do your research, find out, what age is appropriate, what breed, size is appropriate, if you live in an apartment building, if there are any restrictions, map out how much time it's going to take you, potential expenses, before you actually go through the adoption process, and really get an idea, especially if you have an existing dog at home. It's oftentimes a good idea to take that dog to an event so that they can meet a potential new brother or sister. That being neutral ground for everybody, they can kind of get a gauge of how they're going to respond. We've been very, very fortunate that all of ours have taken well to each other without ever meeting prior to us showing up at home with a new animal. But it's really not something that should be taken lightly. So definitely do research, investigate. If you're looking for a certain breed or certain size, figure that out. We were a little pleasantly surprised with Iris. We kind of guessed at how big she was going to be. Prior to that, Savvy was our largest dog. So fortunately, we now live in a house instead of a condo. So it enabled us to actually get a larger dog because we had a backyard for her to play in. and run around and chase things.
Well, when Michelle asked you about what he likes to do, and you mentioned chasing iguanas, I can imagine dogs in Northern Virginia chasing squirrels. That's kind of a new picture for me. Can you describe that?
So we refer to the two of them as our canine alert system. So it operates faster than the email that my Amazon package has been delivered. As Iris sits on the couch and stares out the front window. But when I work, both of us work from home. So our office is in the back of the house overlooking the backyard. And anytime they see an iguana walking on the fence or climbing on the ground, there's this immediate high-pitched squeal. Generally coming out of Savvy here. That squeal only used to be reserved for the squirrels when we lived in DC. They immediately want to go out and chase the thing. Several times they've been successful in chasing iguana into our pool. Then Savvy just sits there and stares at it. Unbeknownst to me, those little things can hold their breath for up to 45 minutes. So it's quickly get the dogs back in the house so the lizard will get out of our pool. But it is very, very funny to watch, especially when they're out on their walk and they see one across the street.
Well, thank you for that. That's just the picture that's new to me, so I appreciate that. When you talked about the dog, bringing a dog into your home and your success, is there a particular way that you recommend acclimating a new dog into a home that's already has dogs?
Well, first, as I mentioned, having them meet on neutral ground so it's not a protection issue or one dog being, resource guarding, but, take them out to a dog park, then bring them home together. And that gives them a feeling that the new dog's feeling welcome, the old dog's not feeling as though something's just been thrust upon them. But it's giving them the space to get to know each other. And more importantly, monitoring their activities very closely in case they do not initially get along. Which, as I mentioned, we really didn't have a problem. The day I brought Iris home, she was asleep in my lap. Savvy jumped up on my recliner and sat right next to me, and the two of them have been friends ever since.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And it's definitely nap time for them now. I can see that.
It's the rest in between running around the backyard and playing chase.
Okay. Thank you. That's wonderful. It's wonderful to have a home with a yard and to have all of that opportunity. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for joining us via, remote. Thank you for all you're doing and for sharing your family with us.
And thank you for actually accommodating us in a remote environment. If we'd still been in DC, would have happily shown up in person.
Oh, well, that would have been wonderful too. Thank you. Thank you to the Lost Dog Cafe with 5 locations in the DC Metro. All Lost Dog Cafe locations are owned and operated by former employees and members of the Lost Dog Cafe family who are committed to food, beer, customer service, and a deep-rooted love for animals that embody the Lost Dog Cafe way. I hope you've enjoyed this very special episode about the Lost Dog and Cat Rescue Foundation. If you'd like more information on this and other episodes, you may visit petinfocafe.com.